Epictetus taught that every human being carries two worlds inside them, the world they try to control, and the world they actually can control. He believed that nearly all suffering comes from confusing the two. When people treat the external world as if it belongs to them, they become frustrated, anxious, and angry. But when they return to what is truly theirs, their judgments, their choices, and their reactions, they discover a calm no one can disturb. He explained this idea with simple clarity. A person may not control the weather, but they can control how they prepare for it. They may not control what someone else says, but they can control the meaning they give to those words. And they may not control whether life brings comfort or difficulty, but they can decide how they meet each moment. In this ability to choose one's inner response, Epictetus saw the foundation of genuine freedom. He often used the example of insult. When someone speaks harshly, most people react instantly, feeling wounded or angry. But Epictetus encouraged his students to pause and examine the situation more carefully. If the insult is true, he said, then the speaker has simply pointed out something real, and there is no reason to be upset. If it is false, then the speaker is mistaken, and their words have no weight. In either case, the power rests with the listener, not the critic. Emotional pain arises not from words themselves, but from the listener's decision to accept them as harmful. Epictetus taught that impressions come quickly, but understanding comes slowly. A person must train themselves to step back from their first reaction. He compared the mind to a skilled guard at a city gate. When a new impression arrives, fear, anger, desire, or excitement, the guard must examine it before allowing it inside. If the impression is exaggerated, misleading, or distorted, it should be turned away. Only impressions grounded in reason should enter. This practice, he said, protects the inner world from unnecessary disturbance. To Epictetus, discipline of thought was not a harsh task but a path to peace. He encouraged his students to reflect regularly on their emotions, their habits, and the ideas they obeyed without question. A person who studies their own mind becomes less vulnerable to confusion. They learn to recognize when they are being pulled by impulse, fear, or social pressure. And once recognized, these influences lose their grip. The student becomes lighter, more aware, and more free. He also taught that people are often controlled by their desires, not only for pleasure, but also for approval, status, and security. These desires may appear harmless, but when someone depends on them for happiness, they become fragile. If the admiration fades, they collapse. If the fortune disappears, they panic. Epictetus urged his students to build their happiness on something more stable, the strength of their own character. A person who values integrity over reputation, and clarity over comfort, cannot be easily shaken. He reminded his listeners that life constantly changes. Fortune shifts, friendships evolve, and circumstances unfold in ways no one predicts. Those who expect stability from the outside world will always be disappointed. But those who build stability within themselves carry peace wherever they go. They do not fear change because they rely on something that cannot be taken, their own ability to think clearly and act with purpose. Epictetus also emphasized acceptance. He did not mean passive resignation, but a calm recognition of what reality presents. When faced with difficulty, he advised students to ask one question: is this within my control? If the answer was yes, they should act with courage and determination. If the answer was no, they should release the frustration and focus on what remained in their power. This simple practice, repeated daily, leads to a balanced and steady mind. He believed that even small moments reveal a person's character. When something breaks, when a plan falls apart, when someone behaves rudely, these moments test the mind. Epictetus encouraged people to use them as opportunities to practice patience, understanding, and resilience. Each challenge becomes a chance to strengthen the inner life, just as physical exercise strengthens the body. He said that difficult situations are not punishments but training sessions in the gymnasium of the mind. Throughout his teaching, he returned to the idea that human beings distort their own experience with unnecessary expectations. They demand that events unfold according to their preferences. They expect others to behave exactly as they wish. And they believe life owes them comfort or fairness. Epictetus warned that these expectations guarantee disappointment. Instead, he taught that a person should welcome what happens, respond with dignity, and release the demand that reality obey their desires. He also spoke often about responsibility. A person must take ownership of their thoughts and actions. Blaming others weakens the mind. Blaming events weakens it further. Freedom grows when someone acknowledges that their peace depends on their own discipline. This responsibility, he said, is not a burden but a form of empowerment. It returns the steering wheel of life to the individual. Epictetus held that clarity of mind naturally leads to kindness. When someone is free from anger, fear, and excessive desire, they become more understanding toward others. They see that most people act out of confusion, not malice. They recognize that everyone struggles with their own impressions and beliefs. This understanding creates compassion without weakness, and calm without indifference. He taught that a person should strive to align their actions with their highest values. When behavior matches principles, the mind becomes quiet. There is no need for excuses or guilt. A person becomes their own source of respect. This inner harmony, he said, is one of life's greatest rewards. Epictetus offered a simple image: life is a play, and each person is assigned a role. One does not choose the role, whether wealthy or poor, healthy or ill, praised or ignored. But one chooses how to perform it. The excellence of the performance depends not on the role itself, but on the character of the actor. When someone fully embraces their role and performs it with courage and reason, they achieve a type of freedom untouched by circumstance. His message endures because it speaks to a universal human challenge: how to remain steady in a world that is constantly changing. Epictetus taught that the answer is not found in rearranging the external world, but in mastering the internal one. When a person manages their thoughts, chooses their responses, and accepts what lies beyond control, they step into a place of strength. And in that place, the noise of the world fades. Fear loses its edge. Anxiety loosens its grip. The mind becomes calm, aware, and unshaken. This is inner freedom, the freedom Epictetus believed every human being can achieve, no matter where they begin, and no matter what life brings. Epictetus challenged his listeners with the reminder: if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself against the slander. Reply, he obviously does not know all my other faults. And, no man is free who is not master of himself. When reality does not comply, they feel wronged. But he taught that peace comes from aligning with the nature of things. It is not events that disturb people, he said, but their judgments about them. When someone changes the judgment, the emotional disturbance dissolves.